Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Shifting Lanes. My name is Hanson. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to do two quick things in this video. First, I want to give an update on the project cars that we have, the Volvo V70R and the BMW M3. And second, I want to talk about the car that I'm in and why I'm in it. So first, let's talk about the project cars, the Volvo V70R. So what we've done to it, we've done the 4C, we've basically replaced all the struts in all four corners, and we've also installed the elevate springs. So basically our car is back to like factory standards, but it's a bit lower, and the suspension work is basically just phenomenal. It's, you know, before it was just like stuck on the sport mode and the sport suspension setting, but now we can actually play with the 4C system, so you can go from comfort to sport to advanced. So it's pretty amazing to kind of see that technology come back to life, because before it was just stuck on one mode at all times. And of course, with the elevate springs, now that the car is a bit lower, it looks a lot more aggressive, and it also handles really, really well. Now, unfortunately, towards the end of last year, the Volvo did get hit. It was involved in a very minor fender bender. Basically, the neighbor kind of backed into his car while it was parked on the side of the street. Now, even though it was just kind of like a minor fender bender, the damage was pretty costly because the headlight was about $1,400 to replace. Luckily, we were able to find a used headlight for not much money. It was just for $100, and we also found a new bumper and a new front quarter panel. But we haven't found a hood just yet, so we're still on the lookout for that. So that's one of the things that we're going to do in the future, is basically replace all those parts and also take it to a paint shop and just basically refinish, kind of like almost like the entire car. Besides that, performance-wise, we still plan on doing the manual swap. So we've gotten some quotes from a couple of different places to do the job, and that's something that's coming up in the future. Also, we plan on doing like a full turbo kit, and also replacing the stock exhaust with a catback exhaust and also a downpipe. So performance-wise, that's on the horizon. That's what we have planned on for 2018. As for the BMW M3, now when we got that car, it was completely bone stock, and it had 172,000 miles on the clock. And I took it home from Orlando, where we bought the car, all the way up to New Jersey. If you haven't seen that video yet, it's linked up in the corner above. But basically for the M3, the changes that we've made, if you haven't seen the videos on it yet, basically we replaced the clutch, the flywheel. The reason why we replaced that was because, well, one, we thought that it needed the job, but also that we thought that there was a leak in the rear main seal. So you know, everything was kind of functioning perfectly, but you know, we kept on seeing like little dollops of oil every time we parked the car. So we thought it was the rear main seal. We got that replaced. We got the flywheel and clutch replaced, and it turns out the existing clutch was about like apparently days away from it completely wearing away. So it was good that we did that job. Unfortunately, the oil leak still persisted, and the reason why was because it didn't come from the rear main seal. It was easy to think that just because of where the oil leak originated when we lifted up on when we lifted the car up on the lift, but the actual leak originated from the Vanos system. Now, the Vanos is completely functional, which is great, because replacing the Vanos system is a pretty costly job. So luckily, well, we think anyway, it's a gasket issue. So we got the replacement gaskets, the replacement O-rings. So we're going to kind of refurbish that entire system. We didn't buy a separate solenoid to replace, so if we have to, then you know, that's another several $100s that we have to spend and also replace. But we think at this point that it's just the gasket issue. So if you guys have know about this issue with the M3, let us know in the comments, and let us know if we're kind of like, you know, doing the proper routine and so on. But anyway, that's basically the update. Oh, and performance-wise for the M3, because we're going to keep it stock, we want to use the M3 as a benchmark against the Volvo V70R, because our goal was to make it into an M3 killer. That's a tall order, given that the M3 is such a automotive benchmark for sports cars, basically. So, but it's a good goal, because if it was an easy goal, then it wouldn't be too interesting. So, but anyway, for the M3, we also replaced the shifter bushings, because, you know, when I drove it home, and you know, we felt that the shifter was a little bit loose. It didn't feel precise. So Chad has gone ahead and replaced all of the bushings, but the slop was still there. So it turns out that it is the shift lever itself. So, you know, it's basically a ball and socket joint, and apparently the ball and socket joint has kind of like worn away. So that replacement is coming up soon. In addition to that, we want to replace the interior in its entirety, because it was 100% a Florida car, and it was sun-baked for its 15 years that it was sitting in Florida. So now we want to find like a dark interior. Maybe we'll find like a kind of like a salvaged car or something like that, or a donor car that, or not even an M3, that we could take all the seats and interior panels from and just kind of put it in place. Because, you know, mechanically speaking, the M3 is decent, but the interior, it was, you know, it's pretty rough shape. So, as you have seen in the videos already. So that's basically the updates to the project cars. Now that Gregson has a car, Chad has a project car, I need a project car, because I want to get in the race. I'm sick and tired of like seeing these two guys work on their cars, improving it, driving it around. I need a project car. Now, let me know what I should get. What is going to be worthy to compete against the V70R and the M3? What would you guys like to see being compared to that? Don't just list the car, but let me know why I should pick that car. Now, there needs to be a budget on this, because we need to be within reasonable budgetary limits here. So I'm thinking anywhere between 15 to 20K for a project car. Obviously, this can be used or this can be new. You know, to get the best bang for your buck, I think we obviously have to go used, so especially in that price range. Let me know what I should consider. I have something in mind already, but I'm interested in what you guys think I should get. So this is going to be coming in the early spring time frame, sometime between March and April, and this is going to be used to basically spank those two guys. So I can't wait to hear what your suggestions are. Let me know, and I may just get it. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you about this in this video is the car that I'm in. This is neither of the project cars that we have. This is the 2018 Dodge Durango RT. Now, we have driven the Dodge Durango in the past. We drove the Dodge Durango GT, and you could watch that review. Chad did that review sometime last year, so it's linked up in the corner. And the reason why I have this car now is because I'm on the road right now heading to Detroit, Michigan for the 2018 North American International Auto Show, otherwise known as the Detroit Auto Show. So this is going to be my first time there as part of the press. You know, I was there before a long time ago, like 10 years ago, and to get there, FCA basically lent me this Dodge Durango RT to drive. It's about 500 miles each way, and this one is a V8, so I've been leaving this in kind of like the eco mode the entire time, because this thing is pretty thirsty. And I'm averaging about a 17.7 average miles per gallon. It's pretty rough, very thirsty, but it's a V8, so what can you expect? So the difference with the 2018 model versus the outgoing 2017 models is that the RT now has the available front fascia from the SRT versions. The SRT version has the 392 engines making 475 horsepower. This one has got the 5.7 liter Hemi V8 producing 360 horsepower. The difference between this model and the previous years is that the front bumper is now available, so you can make your cheaper GT or cheaper RT look like an SRT. And if you look at the hood too, it's got like the Hellcat hood. You could look at the vents, even though I believe they're fake vents, but still it looks pretty menacing from the outside. Besides that, you know, everything is kind of like the same here. It's if you want to look at the actual review that we have for the Durango, again, it's linked up in the corner and also down below in the description box. But with this one, it's equipped with like the red leather interior. So just like in the GT example that we have, the back of these front seats have these flip-up screens. So again, you could just plop in whatever CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays into the slot that's in the armrest here, and then, you know, your kids or your guests, whatever, whomever, could just put on their headphones and then like listen to it and then leave you alone, so you don't have to hear what they're hearing. As for the rest of the interior, it's basically what you could expect from kind of like a more premium optioned Durango. You've got like this really large Uconnect screen, the infotainment system. Again, I believe it's hit or miss. There's some really annoying things about it, but overall, I think it looks pretty decent. And you know, the way they kind of like lay out the information, it's so. Sometimes there's like too many icons and buttons to kind of like figure out. Luckily for this year, they have Apple CarPlay installed, so you could just put your phone in and, you know, live with the whole Apple or Android Auto ecosystem, the ones that you're comfortable with, just because everyone uses smartphones nowadays. So the steering wheel is large, it's thick rimmed, and you know, it's fairly comfortable. There's plenty of buttons here. I like FCA steering wheels because there are buttons behind the steering wheel to control your volume, your stereo volume, and your infotainment channels and whatnot. And you know, you also have like these paddle shifters for, you know, changing the gears. And for this car, it's equipped with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, the automatic transmissions nowadays are just so fast that, you know, you don't even need a dual clutch transmission anymore. You know, these things are so efficient. They shift very fast. It's not as engaging as a manual transmission, but that's you can't really replace that with any sort of automatic transmission or dual clutch transmission. But back to the interior, you know, the leathers feel great. Of the dash, it's a bit more upscale looking, even though there's plenty of rubbers around the dash. Again, the look and the styling of it makes it look more upscale because there's like this, I'm guessing they're fake stitching all around the dash. I like how this one has red stitching on it that matches the leather. So it's a subtle touch to it, but again, it adds a lot of class and some level of luxury. Speaking of luxury, you know, this car, as it looks, feels like it's a lot more expensive than it actually is, because as equipped, this one costs about $53,000. Now, I think that's a lot of car for a full 3-row SUV that has 360 horsepower, a lot of room, a lot of utility. In terms of going on long road trips, which is what I'm doing right now, this is a very comfortable car because I've been driving for about 6 hours now and I am completely relaxed. Like, I am not tired, I'm not exhausted at all, you know, I'm not, like, my back doesn't hurt, and you know, the ride is completely smooth. So this is other than the mileage rating, which is fairly awful right now, you know, this has been a great grand touring type of car. Again, this is the RT version, it's not the GT version. And RT, of course, stands for road and track, or road or track. And it's kind of funny to think that anyone would ever bring this to the track, because even though this has more power than the standard trim, you know, this is obviously not equipped for any sort of track duty. This thing is too heavy. The brakes are like standard sized, so like after 1 or 2 laps, this thing is just going to be completely cooked. So if you want to go take something to the track, of course you're going to need the SRT version. You know, that has I believe that has bigger brakes, that has definitely a bigger engine. And if you really want to perform well on the track, then you wouldn't get the Durango, you'd get the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. Now that one has the Hellcat motor in it, and it has Brembo brakes. Of course, that is the fastest SUV available today. So if you're the type of person that wants to take an SUV, something that could haul 5 or more people to the track, that's the one that you want. Bottom line, this is a great car. The mileage could be better, but you know what? You can't really defy physics. This is a 5,000-pound car. It's got a V8. It's thirsty, so your mileage is gonna be awful. There are tricks to reduce your gas mileage. Of course, never touch the sport mode button. When you touch the sport mode button, the eco off light also comes on, which means that you're no longer in economy mode. And for the last part of the video, I want to talk about the Detroit Auto Show. So you're watching this, if you caught the live stream, thank you so much for watching that. You have probably already seen what I'm going to show you, but I'm going to include some clips of my favorite things that I saw at the show. As you watch this clip from the Detroit Auto Show, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. You're the reason why we make all of these videos, because it's like without you guys, we'd completely stop doing what we're doing. But thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Please give us a like, hit that bell so you can get notified anytime we make the videos about the project cars, and also anytime we make reviews of these press cars that we drive every now and then, and on all the different events that we go to. So thank you so much. Also check out our other social media channels. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Check out our Drive Tribe page, which is linked down below. Now that is where we have all of our written reviews and all of our news articles and so on. Yeah, check us out there. And thank you so much for tuning in. Here are clips from the Detroit Auto Show and all the big reveals.